Good evening to all. Welcome to YouTube channel of Pathology and Microbiology classes of NIH. Today we are going to study about the interesting topic, that is atrophy and metaplasia. So as we aware that atrophy and metaplasia is a type of the cellular adaptations. So let us study in detail. Cellular adaptation have four types: atrophy, hypertrophy, hyperplasia and metaplasia. In simple language, atrophy means decrease the number and size of the cell, and hypertrophy means increase the size of the cell, and hyperplasia means increase the number of the cells. Metaplasia means one cell type changes into the another cell type. So this is the four type of the cellular adaptation. In last class we have discussed about the hypertrophy as well as into the hyperplasia in detail. Today's class we are going to discuss about the atrophy and metaplasia in detail with a simple understanding. So let us study atrophy. Atrophy defined as reduction of the number and size of the parenchymal cells of an organ or its part is called atrophy. With a simple diagrammatic representation, you can see the three. Here it is the normally three cells will be there. Here it is the two. Even the size of the cell is decreased. So simple understanding, atrophy means reduction of the number and size of the parenchymal cells. The atrophy divided into two types based on its causes: physiological atrophy and pathological atrophy. So physiological atrophy having many examples, but I am quoting only three examples. Number one is atrophy of the thymus gland in adult. As we know that in childhood the thymus gland will be prominent. When the age progress in adulthood, there will be rudimentary presence of the thymus gland, rudimentary in case of adult. So atrophy of the thymus gland in adult. And next example is atrophy of the Graafian follicles of the ovary after menopause, and atrophy of the brain in old age. You can see here my right hand side, the 36-year-old human brain, and in my left hand side you can see 82 years old human brain. You can see the difference. The atrophy and the age progress, the cerebral atrophy is common. So this is the typical examples of the physiological atrophy. Next we'll go for the pathological atrophy. Pathological atrophy, based on the different pathological causes, it divided into the seven types: starvation atrophy, ischemic atrophy, neuropathic atrophy, endocrine atrophy, disuse atrophy, pressure atrophy and idiopathic atrophy. Let us study in detail. Number one, starvation atrophy. Starvation atrophy means loss of nutrition leads to atrophy of the cells. As we know, the cellular growth depend upon availability of the nutritions. When the nutrition is decreased or lost, leads to automatically the cell will go for the atrophy. The typical example, one of the typical example is the iron deficiency anemia. The RBC growth depend upon the iron. When the iron is reduced, typically the RBC cellular size is reduced. As we know, the size of the RBC is 7.2 micron. When the iron is reduced in the body, the RBC size of the RBC is decreased or less than 7.2. So called, it is known as the microcytic anemia. So one of the causes of the microcytic anemia is the iron deficiency anemia. So the examples of the starvation atrophy is the iron deficiency anemia. Another example is the tongue. The histology of the tongue. The normal histology, the tongue made up of the stratified squamous epithelium. But you can see it in the right hand side, the epithelial layer is the atrophy. So the normal squamous, stratified squamous, where it is a projection like structure, where there is a loss in the right side, that is atrophy of the epithelial layer. So this is the typical examples of the physiological starvation atrophy. Next is ischemic atrophy. Ischemic atrophy means gradual or partial loss of blood supply to particular cells, tissue or organ. So the typical example is atrophy of the brain due to atherosclerosis. So atrophy of the brain in old age, that is a physiological atrophy, where there is atrophy of the brain due to pathological causes, that is atherosclerosis, is the typical examples of ischemic atrophy. Neuropathic atrophy. disturbance of the nerve supply of the particular tissue or organ. So the atrophy leads to decreased or loss of the blood supply to the particular cell known as the neuropathic atrophy. The example is the poliomyelitis. You can see the poliomyelitis, the muscle tissue have loss of nerve supply of the muscle tissue leads to the condition known as the poliomyelitis of the infectious causes. So the poliomyelitis is the typical examples of the neuropathic atrophy. Endocrine causes. The reduced metabolic activity of the tissue or organ due to reduced loss of endocrine regulatory mechanism. When the reduced loss of endocrine regulatory mechanism leads to reduced metabolic activity of the tissue or organ. The example is atrophy of the thyroid gland or testicular atrophy due to the hypopituitarism. You can see it here. So this is the typical examples of the endocrine atrophy. Disuse atrophy. Atrophy of the organ due to prolonged decreased functional activity. The typical example is wasting of the extremities of the muscles in the prolonged immobilized patients. So when the prolonged immobilized patient, the activity of the extremities are less or functional activity is less, leads to the wasting of the extremities muscles. So this is the typical examples of the disuse atrophy. Next one is the pressure atrophy. Atrophy of the tissue due to the pressure from the abnormal pathology like a tumor, cyst or aneurysm. You can see it here. The typical example is erosion of the spine by tumor. When the erosion of the spine leads to pressure due to the pressure by tumor. So these are typical examples of the pressure atrophy. The next last type of atrophy is the idiopathic atrophy. Idiopathic atrophy means atrophy of the tissue or organ without any definite causes. You can see the testicular atrophy but without any definite causes. So that is known as the idiopathic atrophy. Idiopathic means without any causes. So the typical example is the testicular atrophy. So that's about the type of the pathological atrophy. Now we'll go for the pathogenesis. The pathogenesis, the atrophy leads to decreased carbohydrate metabolism and decreased protein metabolism and decreased fat metabolism. So decreased carbohydrate metabolism leads to decreased production of the ATP, and decreased protein metabolism leads to so many conditions, and decreased fat metabolism also taking place. So but here we have to focus on protein metabolism because the many conditions of cellular metabolism based on the protein metabolism. So what happened in the atrophy? In atrophy, decreased protein anabolism, that means decreased protein production, where there is increased protein catabolism. Destruction of the protein is taking place more. So that leads to disturbance of the ubiquitin proteasome pathway. Here you can ask the questions why there is a activation of the ubiquitin proteasome pathway. Here the simple understanding, ubiquitin proteasome pathway helps to elimination of dysfunctional or misfold protein which is present in the inside the cells. So what happened in the atrophy? There is a decreased protein anabolism where there is increased protein catabolism, destruction of the protein taking place. That leads to, that may be accumulation of the dysfunctional or misfolded protein which is in the inside the cells. So when the misfolded or dysfunctional protein accumulation inside the cells as immediately activate the ubiquitin proteasome pathway. So leads to elimination of that dysfunctional or misfolded protein. So when the activation of the ubiquitin proteasome pathway leads to this ubiquitin proteasome pathway, the main purpose is to elimination of the dysfunctional or misfolded protein, as well as in atrophy condition that leads to self-eating of the cytoplasmic vacuoles also, that we are calling as a autophagy. So in atrophy you can see the increased autophagy. So that leads to atrophy. So you can see into the morphological thing, you can see the increased autophagic vacuoles, it is present in the cells. So that is the simple pathogenesis of the atrophy. Now we'll see about the morphology. There are two types of morphology, macroscopic and microscopic. Macroscopic, you can see the shrinkage of the cells, tissue as well as into the organ. The microscopic, three finding you can see, shrinkage of the cytoplasmic organelles because of less nutrition as well as the activation of the ubiquitin proteasome pathway. Next one, it is not decreased, it is increased. Increased autophagic vacuoles present inside the atrophic cells and accumulation of the lipofuscin pigments. The lipofuscin is the type of the endogenous pigment which is present. This lipofuscin pigments will accumulate it into the autophagic vacuoles or into the residual bodies, leads to brown atrophy. The autophagic vacuoles looks like a brown, so we are calling as the atrophy. So a typical examples is the brown atrophy of the heart. So this is the three microscopic finding of the atrophy. Number one is the shrinkage of the cytoplasmic organelles. Next one, increased autophagic vacuoles. Third one, accumulation of the lipofuscin pigments in the autophagic vacuoles leads to brown atrophy. So that's about the atrophy. Then next we'll go for the metaplasia. Metaplasia is defined as the reversible changes in which one mature adult cell type, maybe the epithelial or mesenchymal cells, is replaced by another mature type of the cell. In simple language, one type of the cell changes into the another type of the cells, which is reversible. You can see it here. You can see, imagine it is the columnar cells, and here you can see the squamous cells. You can see the one type of the cell changes into the another type of the cells due to the causes, different causes. But always remember, it is a reversible changes. The metaplasia, based on the causes, is divided into the physiological metaplasia and pathological metaplasia. The typical examples of the physiological metaplasia is the embryogenesis. And pathological metaplasia, for our understanding, we divided into the two type of metaplasia. One is epithelial metaplasia, another one is the mesenchymal metaplasia. 60 to 70% of the metaplasia is the epithelial metaplasia, and 20 to 30% of the metaplasia is the mesenchymal metaplasia. Epithelial metaplasia for again divided into two types, squamous metaplasia and columnar metaplasia. So what is squamous metaplasia? Here I am giving very simple understanding. The normal columnar epithelium changes into the abnormal squamous epithelium is known as the squamous metaplasia. So what is columnar metaplasia? The normal squamous epithelium changes into the abnormal columnar epithelium is known as the columnar metaplasia. So squamous metaplasia means normal columnar changes into the abnormal squamous, where columnar metaplasia means normal squamous changes into the abnormal columnar. So simple understanding, the abnormal thing is known as the which is the abnormal end result, that is the squamous end result is understanding is the squamous metaplasia, and end result is the columnar here, so we are calling as the columnar metaplasia. So let us study in detail. Before that, we'll go for the type of the mesenchymal metaplasia. Mesenchymal metaplasia again divided into the osseous metaplasia and cartilaginous metaplasia. So what is osseous metaplasia? The normal chondrocyte or normal fibrocyte changes into the abnormal osteocyte is known as the osseous metaplasia. What is cartilaginous metaplasia? Just opposite of osseous metaplasia, that is normal osteocytes converted into either chondrocyte or fibrocyte. Is the examples of the this is the definition of the cartilaginous metaplasia. So here I am giving the two examples of the osseous metaplasia and cartilaginous metaplasia. The typical examples of the osseous metaplasia is the myositis ossificans. As we know, myo means a muscle. The muscle is made up of the myocytes. So what happened? These myocytes, because of the various causes, the myocyte is converted into the osteocytes. So that is we are calling as a myositis ossificans. This is the examples of the osseous metaplasia. So what is cartilaginous metaplasia? In the bone, normally the bone made up of the osteocytes. When the fracture of the bone, after the fracture of the bone, when the movement of the fractured bone leads to this osteocytes, the normal osteocytes may converted into the abnormal chondrocytes. So that is the fracture of the bone is the typical examples of the cartilaginous metaplasia. So here we have to focus on these two, squamous metaplasia and columnar metaplasia. Let us study in detail. Squamous metaplasia, I am giving the simple understanding. Respiratory system normally made up of the pseudo-stratified ciliated columnar epithelium. Due to the smoking, the prolonged smoking leads to the normal columnar epithelium converted into the squamous epithelium. So this is the typical examples of the squamous metaplasia. Another example is the gallbladder, normally made up of the simple columnar epithelium. Due to calculi or the stone presence, the normal simple columnar epithelium changes into the squamous epithelium. And the endocervix, normally made up of the simple columnar epithelium. Because of the cervical erosions pathology, the normal columnar epithelium changes into the squamous epithelium. The urinary bladder, ureter and renal pelvis, normally made up of the transitional epithelium. Due to the chronic inflammation, the transitional epithelium converted into the squamous epithelium. So this is the typical examples of the squamous metaplasia. Normally the respiratory system made up of the ciliated columnar epithelium. Because of the continuous smoking, the columnar epithelium changes into the squamous epithelium. Here things to remember, when we remove the smoking, when the person stops the smoking, the squamous metaplasia, the squamous cells revert back to the again ciliated columnar, normal ciliated columnar epithelium. So this is about the examples of the squamous metaplasia. Here you can see this is the normal columnar epithelium of the respiratory tract. This normal epithelium, when person is going for the smoking, so this normal columnar epithelium changes into the abnormal squamous epithelium. So this changes, the columnar changes into the squamous. This type of metaplasia is known as the squamous metaplasia. Now we'll go for the examples of the columnar metaplasia. The esophagus, normally esophagus made up of the stratified squamous. When due to the continuous inflammation, that is known as one of the pathological condition is known as the Barrett esophagus. So what happened? The normal squamous epithelium converted into the columnar epithelium. And next example is the ectocervix made up of the stratified squamous. Due to the cervical erosion, the normal squamous converted into the columnar. The next example is the mouth made up of the normally stratified squamous epithelium. When because of the inflammation, the normal squamous converted into the abnormal columnar epithelium. So this is the examples of the columnar metaplasia. You can see it here, esophagus, histology of the esophagus, normally made up of the squamous, stratified squamous epithelium. And because of the continuous inflammation or various pathology, so what happened? Here you can see the columnar epithelium. So the squamous epithelium converted into the columnar epithelium. It is known as the columnar metaplasia. The typical example is the Barrett esophagus. Now we'll study about the pathogenesis of the metaplasia. The metaplasia mainly taking because of productive mechanism. So because of various causes, the basic mechanism is the productive causes that leads to productive mechanism leads to transformation of the epithelium. That means squamous changes into the columnar or columnar changes into the squamous, or mesenchymal. The chondrocyte changes into the osteocyte or osteocyte changes into the chondrocyte. So that is the metaplasia. So here the pathogenesis things to remember here, it is mainly the metaplasia is occurring because of productive mechanism. So morphology, macroscopy, you cannot see any changes, but in microscopy you can see transformation of the one matured cell into the another type of the matured cells. So that is in microscopy you can able to see. That's about the metaplasia. So here some of the word we have to understand properly. So dysplasia, what is dysplasia? Dysplasia means disordered differentiation and maturation. In simple language we can call it as the abnormal growth. And anaplasia means lack of differentiation and maturation. In simple language it is a loss of growth. So difference between anaplasia is the loss of growth, where there is dysplasia is the abnormal growth. Aplasia means absence of the growth. The difference between aplasia and anaplasia means absence of the growth, where there is anaplasia is the loss of the growth. Hypoplasia means reduction in the size of the cell, tissue or organ. So you may get confused with the hypoplasia, anaplasia and aplasia. Anaplasia means loss of growth, which is acquired causes, where there is hypoplasia is the reduction in the size of the cells, tissue or organ is a congenital causes, where there is here it is the both there is a some kind of the growth will be present, where there is aplasia means entirely absence of the growth. The next one, very important one, interesting topic in the general pathology is the neoplasia. So neoplasia means abnormal new growth. So you can get confusion with what is neoplasia and dysplasia. Dysplasia means abnormal growth of the normal cells, where the neoplasia means abnormal growth of the new cells or abnormal new growth. So that's about the 5 word. So we have to know properly in order to understand the subject well. So that's about the end of my subject. So here what we learned, cellular adaptation cells will come back to normal after cessation of the causes. If you remove the cause, the cell adaptation will come back to the normal. Atrophy means decreased number and size of the cell. Metaplasia means one type of the cell changes into the another type of the cells. And hyperplasia and dysplasia may progress to the neoplasia. This is a very interesting factor. When it comes to the neoplasia, I will explain about the dysplasia. So this is about the end of my class. So here I am asking about the top 3 questions asking from the different examination like UPSC examination and PG NEET examination. If you are able to answer this top 3 questions, that means you can able to understand about the subject well. So number 1 questions, examples of the physiological atrophy. The answer is senile atrophy, post-pregnancy uterine atrophy, disuse atrophy and all of the above. Question number 2, examples of the metaplasia are the following except number 1 Barrett esophagus, number 2 myositis ossificans, number 3 breast enlargement at puberty, number 4 respiratory tract in smokers. Question 3, all are the cellular adaptation except hypertrophy, hyperplasia, metaplasia and apoptosis. So post your correct answer in the YouTube comment box. It's a very important MCQ question for the future examinations. So please answer in the YouTube comment box. These are my reference. Thanks to those reference books. So this is the end of my today's class. So next class I am going with the cell injury. So before ending my class, always I will quote, knowledge is our power. So study well. So next class I will come back with you with the cellular adaptations. So thanks to one and all.